Hey everybody, Dan King here. So apparently I'm suffering from allergies today, and I had to start this live stream about 4 times because I keep rubbing my eyes and nose. So now I'm just going to go with it. So I'm going to probably be gross and wiping my runny eyes and runny nose and just fucking deal with it, okay? So anyway, oh boy, I don't know if you guys been up to speed, but Walter has exposed Slippery Wnwet. He's got him. This is the video that buried him, is what Wally says. So Wally has forensically been analyzing Slippery Wnwet's video, and it seems like he's got the guy. Wally makes a pretty good case. He makes his 2 hours videos exposing it's a whole big build-up. Okay, and now, ladies and gentlemen, again, he thinks that, like, the world is watching, that there's thousands of people sitting on the edge of their seats, dying to see who Slippery Wnwet is. And it's probably, like, a handful of people who are mildly curious if Wally's got the right guy. Maybe they just want to see what the man looks like because we've been seeing him in his mask, whatever. But Wally thinks, of course, this is Watergate. So I want to talk primarily about that video. I realized yesterday I was, like, watching the video and I'm writing down notes and I'm trying to get prepared because I want to be a professional YouTuber. And I realized it's like too time consuming. Wally makes too much material. I only got like maybe about an hour into the thing, and there's so much stuff. And now he's making more videos, and there's just no way humanly possible to keep up with all his lunacy. Wally, I love it. Keep making videos forever, man. So yeah, I drove out to my hidden. It's not the library, Wally. And I'm hoping one day I told Slippery, because I associate with them on the side. I said, you know, I hope that when Wally's like done trying to figure you out, he comes back to me, because I feel a little bit abandoned. Again, if anyone's paying attention, Wally thought I was Slippery Wnwet.
Dan Edward King here doesn't seem to want to quit. Him and his pals were exposed for who and what they are. And the false allegations and lies that were put out there about me, accusing me of being a child abuser, you know, that I'm unhinged, that I have mental issues, you know, that they literally have. If you go onto their individual channels, especially Dan King's channel here, what business does this man have to have very personal videos of mine from Facebook uploaded on his fucking channel?
He was so sure, and he was posting pictures of my name and my family and talking shit on all the different channels. And now it's just like his mind reset, and now he's like, oh, this guy is Slippery Wnwet, and he's just going down the whole thing. And he hasn't learned his lesson because, you know, he's still not 100% sure, but he's throwing the guy's name under the bus and exposing. Now it's all the Masons. He's exposing all the Masons. And before I get started, I'm looking at I printed up notes. So Wally makes this video. In the video, he puts up this dumb disclaimer, and I'll put it on the screen. And in his mind, it's like not something he copied. It's not something from a lawyer. It's like Wally just typed in words on a black background, and black background and white letters to Wally means the absolute truth authority. Whatever. I used to remember what font it was. I found out the font that he uses. But any type of thing, that font, white letters, black background is the truth to Walter. So he makes this disclaimer based on nothing. And it just says, if I find anything on the internet in general and use it here, it's totally legit. I'm not doxing. And then he goes on to show, like, the route that Slippery drove on his motorcycle and his house. Here's his house from space, and there's little windows on the house, and you could tell this is where Slippery was in his kid's room. Is this normal, folks? Is this normal to make a crazy video in your house? Like, Walter never sees the hypocrisy in what he says. But he makes this whole video, and it's like, you know, he has Slippery's real face, and he's superimposing it on the picture of Slippery wearing an aviator, waving aviator. Like, Wally doesn't see the humor of, like, he's looking at a guy wearing an aviator hat and goggles and a mask, and he's like, oh, he's like seriously trying to figure, and like Slippery's making a fool out of him. Wally, just the fact that you're making this video where you're like, oh, here's this man on the screen, let's break it down. It's like a joke. Everyone's laughing. There was one part of that a while ago where, like, you're playing the video. Slippery's got a fake knife through his head, and he's wearing some crazy getup, probably the Santa Claus hat that you wear, that you own, Wally, the clothes that you voluntarily own and wear. And you're playing that, and you're just like, oh, this is just completely, this is too serious.
And I had to go down and I had to shove a steak knife through my head, but it didn't do a fucking thing.
See, what's funny is that he leaves these little tidbits. There's Tico Tren right there.
And, like, everyone else in the world, Wally, is laughing at Slippery with a knife through his head. But in your mind, all your viewers, your three, now for some reason you said you had 2,000 to 3,000 people. Suddenly it doubled again. Grandiose, crazy person. But you're like, they're all watching and they're all just on my side. And so it's like, no, Walter, I got people coming to me all the time. They found your channel and then they heard about me because you mentioned me. And they're like, oh yeah, I watch Wally because he's Looney Tunes too. Like, it started out, I was interested in a Tipperman whatever gun. And now they're watching my shit and Slippery shit because you're crazy and they're on board with the Crazy Wally show. No one's taking you seriously, buddy. But anyway, Wally puts up this disclaimer, which now makes him immune to doxing. And then he shows the guy's house. And at one point, he puts the guy's picture on the screen. And it's the guy's picture, his name, his telephone number, and his email address. And it's on the screen. Duh. And I think Wally messed up because after that, he had a series of pictures. There's just a picture of the guy. And Wally changes it over. But then he keeps dipping back into this other thing. And I remember at one point, someone else in the live stream, in the chat, of course, it got erased because the MAGA army shut this guy down. Because the guy, I forget what he said, but he wasn't trying to be malicious. He was like, hey, you're kind of doxing this guy right now. And Wally replies to it, maybe you'll find a clip. Wally goes, no, because a disclaimer, and I put this disclaimer, and I found it on the internet. It's on the internet.
Yeah, I did. You know why? Because it's public knowledge. It's on a public website and available to the public. Once again, in case anybody tries any fuckery, I made sure to put that disclaimer in here. Okay? Just to make sure that it's known for the public record. Everything here was obtained through the public record without doing anything illegal. You Google in his name, you can Google in his job site, you can Google in all of that stuff. Nothing here was obtained illegally. His phone number and his email address are on a public website that anyone can go to and see. So that is not illegal and does not violate any terms of service.
So in Wally's logic, in Wally's mind, if your information is already on the internet, Wally, then it's fair game. So with your disclaimer and your crazy logic, I'm going to make a video and paste it in right here, and we'll review it. Ready? Okay, guys, I'm about to expose that son of a bitch Wally and blow this whole thing out of the water. But of course, this video is just really making fun of him. I'm trying to make some point that's probably going to blow over his head. And it's good-hearted fun, parody, and hyperbole. Hashtags, jokes, humor. To really drive it home, I'll just set this whole stupid video to whimsical music. Okay, in case anyone wants to try any fuckery, I'm going to use the same disclaimer that Wally Maga Man used when he exposed Slippery Wnwet. Okay, there it is in the screen. So now it makes me totally immune to any legal problems or anything, according to Wally's logic. Okay, so are you ready, Walter Hillegas? I know you're watching, Walter! Okay, guys, what you're looking at right now is a map of the building complex. And you can find this on a totally public website for the complex where Wally lives. The two red dots just represent available 2-bedroom units, because Wally has the best and biggest unit in the place, which is known as a Bradley. So here's a detailed picture of a Bradley unit. And if you've been paying attention to Wally, he makes a billion videos in his apartment, and you'll notice if you have a sharp eye that the picture of a Bradley on the website is actually a mirror image of Walter's actual thing. Because if you notice, the entranceway is on the wrong side, and the kid's room is on the wrong side, and like where the little kitchen, where the entrance to the kitchen is backwards. So all you gotta do is just flip this image like so. Boom! Okay, now we have an accurate layout of Wally's apartment. The kids' bunk beds are the gray bed, Wally's bedroom is the black bed, and the Maga HQ setup that Wally's always bragging about is where the gray couch is in this picture. So now, of course, this home wasn't designed to be a shooting range, but Maga Man gets creative when he breaks Lee's screamings. So the red line that I just put on the screen, that's the longest path in Wally's apartment. If you're a lunatic like him and you want to set up a shooting range, that's where you go. But even that length is only about 20 feet, and that's like wall to wall. So when you count that, like Wally has to set up a little table on one end, and he has to put his back up all against the wall, and he's a big giant guy. You're only talking about like 17 feet, 15 feet. So just keep that in mind when Wally's doing these shooting range videos where he's got this gun with a sight and a laser pointer and a green laser pointer and his wraparound dumb yellow glasses. He's shooting something about 15 feet away. And that's the biggest shooting range. This is also what he does. I'll put on a new image. Okay, so now this is the alternate shooting range he does. The blue represents where he puts his dumb little tarp to protect his house from flying pieces of pumpkin or whatever else he's shooting in the apartment. And the red is assuming that he's opening up the deck and standing on the deck. And that is about maybe 12 feet. So keep that in mind when Wally's doing his little videos and he's shooting He-Man or whatever toy he's shooting. He's shooting at something roughly 12 feet away. So, wow, Wally, amazing. You're such a wild, wild west sharpshooter. But enough about Wally's little slice of heaven. Let's go back to the housing complex. So again, this is a picture from the super public brochure that anyone could go to for the complex. And now, let's switch to a satellite view of the same complex. Now, because Wally said, according to his rules in his other video, you can't show the names of the street. So I used Google Earth, which is a totally free program that anybody could download, and I turned off all the labels. So this is just a view from outer space with no street labels, so you can't hone in on exactly where Maga Man lives. But like he did with Kevin, what I'm doing is totally legit according to Wally's disclaimer and dumb logic. So now, if you have Wally's address and you type it in, fun fact, it just goes to this general area. It doesn't zoom in to the exact building complex where Wally lives. So if you want to find out where he lives, how do you do that? Well, you could take all of the public information that Wally puts on his videos, and you could also look up public news stories, and you could piece together exactly where I live. Like the way Wally has pieced down exactly where Slippery was riding his motorcycle, I'm going to do the same thing to Wally to show you where he lives. So here we go. So just to make it fast, because I don't want to bore everyone to tears, Wally lives right down in this building here, all the way at the bottom. How do I know that? Well, here's a still from the video where Wally speaks to a reporter. This is right after his tires got slashed, and this is a single frame from the video where he's walking around his car, showing the reporter what happened to his vehicle. And in it, you can see, I'll circle it, there's a unique looking building on the left. There's like, it's pink and it has white trim and the roof is kind of weird and it's got white the thing for the rainwater coming down. And then there's a hedge wall. And then at the end of the hedge wall by Wally's big dumb head is a brick, the end of the wall with a white cap, a big square thing. If you go back to the outer space view, here are those things on that map. The red is where Wally's car is parked, and I put in a little yellow arrow, and that represents where the picture of the photographer was standing and the way they were facing when they took a picture. So now, let's go to the 3D satellite view. Are you ready? Okay, this is a 3D view of the place, again, using Google Earth, and there's an option to put on 3D buildings. The white car is where Wally's Red 4 is. And you can tell it's a red RAV4 because, again, in Wally's super public Fox News story, the reporter goes around his car. And at one point, fun fact, they videotape his license plate. So Wally, your license plate is filmed by Fox News, and it's part of the Fox News story. So again, I could show it. I'm not, because that's a dick move, but I'm just letting the audience know that your license plate is available to view, courtesy of Fox News. So anyway, let's rotate this view. Okay, now here is, I was trying to recreate the same view as the shot in a news story. I'll put it side by side so it makes sense. So we proved, using totally public available data, where Wally parks his car. But it still doesn't tell us where Wally lives. So how do we find that out? Well, let's go to one of Wally's 1,800 million videos where he's sitting on his deck filming shit. Okay, in this video, he's sitting on his deck, and it's like an hour and a half of this bullshit. He's sitting on a deck, and he's got his phone set up to a tripod, so he's all excited. And every now and then, he pans to the left, and pans to the right, and pans to the left, and he's filming cars going down his street. But anyway, if you watch it the way I watch these videos, you'll notice a couple things. Do you see it? Okay, I'll show it to you. On the street, there are these little triangle marks to show you which way traffic goes. And also next to that, there's a little line in the road where they repaired a crack with tar. They pour tar down in it. So let's see where those markings correspond with the satellite map. Okay, so here you go. So this means that this is Walter's view from his deck. So now, let's, using technology like Wally did when he put Slippery Wnwet's face, Kevin's face over Slippery's face, we will put in the Bradley floor plan that we discussed earlier right in the complex where Wally's balcony is, and boom, it matches up perfectly. Even a little doorway where it goes, that sidewalk goes to a little corridor, which there's another video out there which Wally's walking around the corridor that connects to his house. So the door to the Bradley unit connects to that little hallway and leads out of the building. And now now it makes sense because that's the closest parking spot to Wally's place, so he likes to park there. So now let me creepily put in the exact path Wally walks from his car to get home. Okay, there it is on the screen. Okay, an extra bonus, if that's not enough, if you go to Google Street View, the Google Mobile never drove down the path where Wally is boringly filming, panning left and right. But there's a parkway on the other side of those trees where the Google Mobile drove down. So you can go to Street View, and because Wally never leaves his fucking house, except to go to Walmart to buy some cheap fucking beef stew, you can just about make out his red RAV4 through the bushes when you go down Street View on that highway. So there's his little RAV4 right outside the parkway. It's parked in the same spot where his tires got slashed. So there you go. Boom. Okay, but enough about Wally's home. What other public information that you could totally share right now on my channel is out there about Wally? Well, I'll put these two things. The first one I'll put up is the 501st site, the Star Wars group where Wally was Darth Vader. And there's what Wally entered in. And fun fact, when you enter in this information, you have an option. Well, first of all, you could just not put in any information, but because Wally's an attention-seeking whore, he went out and filled the whole thing out. And then there's another little tick box that says, do you want this information public? Which Wally said, yes, I do. So he checked that, he filled this out, and this is all the information that he was willingly going to share with the public. So there it is. You can go to that URL. I'm not going to link to it, but you can type it in yourself if you want to read the little log of Wally trooping when he first joined the group. The second thing I'm going to show is, again, a totally public site. And I think it's a site that Wally set up 1 million years ago for his no-hit wonder heavy band Engine of the Sun, where he was lead guitar. So there's that information, and you can check it out. And again, the URL is up there. You can type it in and go to it. I'm not going to type it in. But guys, you definitely want to go to the site because there's a little link, and that link will take you to a YouTube channel where there's a new song that you never saw before that Wally plays. And again, it's a YouTube channel, so you can give it thumbs up or thumbs down. I can't tell you what to do, fellas, but make sure you go there and tell the creators of this website, probably Wally, what you think about his videos. Anyway, enough with this dumb little video. I think I proved my point. It'll go over Walter's head, but I'm trying anyway. So let's go back to the regular program, folks. Okay, so Wally, I don't want to hear about how I doxed you, and he did this, and my email was on the screen, and blah, blah, blah. I want you to know, also on the screen, I could have posted your phone number and your current address, because that's just out there, Wally. According to the disclaimer that you made and you posted and you read a couple times, especially after one of your viewers pointed out that you're doxing somebody, you said, no, this is fair because it's already on the internet and you could just find it on the internet. So Wally, you could if you want to go to Truth, what you can do is you can go to Truth Find. I think it's True People Finder, and you type in Wally's address, which isn't difficult to find, and you do a reverse lookup. It gives you his name, his previous addresses, and his telephone number. So that's how you can get his telephone number, everybody, because it's on the internet and it's fair game, right, Walter? So I could have put that up, but I didn't. But yeah, I put your old email address because there's some old Engine of the Sun thing. And in the 501st Legion, your information's still there. So I showed those two things because those are public things that you can look up according to the disclaimer, Walter. So I don't want to hear it. I just used your fucking logic on you. And I showed your house from space, and I threw a little 3D model and how you get to your house and what you're looking at when you're on your balcony. Again, totally legal. It's out there. It's on a map program. I covered up all the things, so it's fine, according to Wally, Maga Man disclaimer. So go fuck yourself, Wally. It's fair game, okay? And talking about hypocrisy, that was another thing that I wanted to show you. I have on my notes, I'm going to show you a series of things in your new video, Wally. Just in your new video alone, where you describe yourself and you don't even fucking realize it. Ready?
Because he himself gets himself into trouble all the time because he doesn't know when to stop. He has a reputation of doing things like this until he gets called out for it. This man has a reputation for attacking people on social media. He is a self-righteous prick. He goes after people for absolutely no reason at all. He did this to me. He's done this to several other men on Facebook and throughout social media. Many of you have told me behind the scenes that this man has been actively harassing you. You know why? Because he's a self-righteous prick. He's a typical German snot-nosed, arrogant piece of, self-righteous garbage that thinks he's above and better than every other man out there. And it's no surprise where some of these emails are coming from. How many times has he gotten into trouble for his big mouth and his overly bloated sense of righteousness, that he's above and beyond everybody? He's the greatest thing. He's the best, this is. But the simple fact of the matter is he's a troublemaker. He starts trouble everywhere he goes. He has a reputation for this, and he knows it.
Okay, so as you can see, Wally, he doesn't, he'll just describe himself and not see it because in his mind, he's this other superhuman being that's different from all us. And he can get away with it. He's allowed to dox people, and he's allowed to say shit. But if you retaliate against him, he gets all upset and cries. And a funny thing is, he made a new video today, and I got a big kick out of it. Because again, I've been watching video for so long, he's just showing repeats now. It's a new video, but it's doing the same old thing. And what he did today is, now the whole Mason, guess what? There's another group in Wally's life that he joined. That, by the way, tooting my own horn here, I predicted months ago that the Masons were gonna chuck him. Actually, Biden boy predicted that the Masons were gonna chuck him because of his racist video. And guess what, Wally? That's what happened. Wally, of course, is starting to tell everyone, "Oh, I voluntarily didn't pay my dues for 3 years."
Some of my stuff from my lodge, my now former lodge, I stopped paying dues because now that I know who the men are behind these scathing attacks against me, what's really disappointing is that, I really believed in what this stood for.
He didn't know dues for 1 year. He didn't pay his dues for 3 fucking years. Because Wally makes another video. He's like, my dues weren't up for another month. It's like, Wally, maybe your dues for this year weren't up, but your dues for the last 2 years prior, they were up a while ago. And like I explained in one of my videos, Wally, you're not paying attention. The Masons wanted to chuck you for your racist bullshit that you did in the Biden boy video. But that was a difficult process, and it would have involved communicating with you. And no one wants to talk to you because you're a vile piece of shit. So instead they said, you know what we'll do? We'll send this guy constant emails that say you have until X date to pay your dues. Otherwise you're out, knowing that you weren't going to pay. And then now you're out. So now you're making up stories that you hate the Masons and they're this terrible group and you secretly hated them for years and they worship Satan and they wear robes. Like a month ago you were a full-fledged Mason guy. Now all of a sudden you hate them and you're throwing shit out. And that's what I want to talk about. Wally makes a dramatic video where he's sadly, I'm surprised it isn't to the tinkly music that you always use, Walter. But the video is him gathering up all the Mason stuff that he believed in all those years until they turned on me. Yes, oh, they worship Satan and I had no idea. How do you get yourself in a Satan worshiping cult, Wally, and not realize it?
Unless it's a dumb, Star Wars freak or Satan worshiping Mason or, one of the other haters and trolls that are out there.
But anyway, the video goes on. He's just like, and he does the same thing where he shows the props. This is my Bizu, I think it's called, the Dracula medal. I got in trouble. The Mason guys yelled at me when I called it a Dracula, because I talked to your Mason pals, buddy. I actually apologized to them. Well, I made a video, I said, sorry about the Dracula medal, but it looks like, the cross that, anyway, the Bijou, sorry guys, I'm mispronouncing it again. Anyway, Wally had that, and some pin, and he's like, oh, the Bible, I don't know if I'm gonna, this is a sad day, and he gathers everything up in a garbage pail, and now he's walking, he's walking to the dumpster for dramatic effect, and he puts everything in a dumpster and he closes it, and then he ends, he goes, I'm just gonna go home, and like his voice is cracking a little bit, I'm just gonna go. And then the video stops. And that's the end. And I was laughing, Wally, laughing at you. Why? Because you did this same shit. I remember watching years ago. Like, I'm talking like 5 years ago. And again, this is when you were just on my radar as a nut job on Facebook. Because you made this post. And this is even before I was even talking about 9/11. Like I said, in a previous video, I mentioned Wally back in the day, pre-Maga Man, PMM, he was 9/11 dude. He had a hat, 9/11 rescue guy, and a jacket, and I think a vest, and it had patches all over it. Every square inch was like a 9/11 hero. It's just like, he was just screaming, I'm a 9/11 hero, to anyone who was around him. That was he's like a peacock all the time. But he had this getup, and like he would be the kind, I'm exaggerating, but he'd come over to you and be like, hey, it's a nice day today, isn't it? Just like when the planes crashed into the Twin Towers. Like, he would hijack a conversation and make it about 9/11, and there's a guy with all this 9/11 shit. All of a sudden, he's talking about 9/11. He actually did it to me the very first time I met him. I, shook hands with him. We were leaving the event, and, I introduced myself early on, and at the end of it, I was like, okay, I'll see you on Facebook. And Wally, like a weirdo, he clutched my hand and he kind of pulled me closer and he goes, yes, you'll see me on Facebook. I'm the guy who has the Twin Towers as his profile picture. And Wally's got a few inches on me, so he's like leaning over and he's got all the 9/11 getup, and I'm just like, okay, terrified of the crazy person in front of me. And that was like another this guy is, keep an eye on this guy. He's a little fucking weird. But anyway, so he was 9/11 guy, and I mentioned it in a previous video. I think people in his life were and I ended up doing it later on, but I think this was before I even said a thing. People were like, dude, you're 9/11 all the time. And what would happen is somebody would say, Walter, maybe you should knock it off with the 9/11 getup. And Wally would get triggered to make a video and go, people are saying that I was not at 9/11, and let me show you the stuff that says I wasn't 9/11. And he goes down and he gets triggered, and it's like, no, Wally, I'm not saying you weren't at 9/11. You were part of the 9/11 cleanup crew. You were there the next day, and however many, I believe you, buddy. I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying, what everyone else was saying in your orbit, was knock it off, okay? We don't have to hear every 4 seconds how you're a 9/11 guy. Do something else with your time. But anyway, it got to the point, I guess, where Wally, all of a sudden, he made a video out of nowhere on Facebook, and he was like, I realized that I'm the 9/11. I just have to divorce this. I'm too obsessed with the 9/11. I have to get rid of it. And he made the same video he just made with the Mason stuff. He gathered up all his 9/11 stuff. I think he had a model of the Twin Towers and the exact kind of airplanes that crashed into it, because that's normal, having a model of whatever. But anyway, he had all this stuff and little pins, and he's filming, he's taking it, and he's shoving it down into a bin. Oh, this is going. and he has a vest that he has, and a hard hat, and he had this jacket with all the patches on it that I mentioned before. And he's like, okay, that's it. I'm just enough with the 9/11. So long 9/11 swag. And he marched to it. At the time he was living in a house, and he marches down to the garbage can, and he opens the same video. He opens up the garbage can, and he puts the jacket in. Goodbye. There it is, everyone. Proof, evidence that it's in the garbage can. Okay. And he puts the lid on, and the same thing. He goes, I'm just gonna go inside now. I'm gonna go home. And he starts, stops the video for the most dramatic effect. I'm gonna go now, fellas. Bye. And so everyone's like, oh, are you okay? You all right? Oh, poor 9/11 guy. That's what he wants. But then he, because he makes a million videos every day, he made a video like weeks later where he's in the kitchen of his house and he's doing some arts and crafts thing. It might have been when I mentioned it before, where he was into Freddy Krueger, and he had like a Freddy Krueger glove, like a replica with the razor like fingers. I don't think it was real razors, but anyway, he's like, come daughter, let's paint the killing device that Freddy Krueger uses. God forbid he sits at the table and plays with Play-Doh with his kid. It's always the Wally show. So he was doing some kitchen thing with his little girl. But then on the chair, on the jacket, on the chair was his 9/11 jacket that he just threw out a couple weeks earlier. So he dramatically filmed this whole thing. Goodbye, 9/11 stuff. And then he killed the camera, and then he opened it up and took all the stuff and brought it back inside. So Wally, I'm sure you have all the Mason stuff. I'm sure after you close that blue door and go, I'm gonna go back inside, guys. And after you killed it, you put the phone in your pocket and you opened it up and you took the bag out. I'm sure you have the bag in your living room. And I'm sure in a week's, month, years from now, you're going to assume that your audience has completely forgot that you threw the Mason stuff out, and you're going to be, I used to be in those Masons, let me show you. Here's the medal, and here's the thing, and you're going to do that. It's going to be the Star Wars shit all over again with your fucking Mason swag, okay? So you're not fooling anybody. You're a fraud. And when I say fraud, you immediately go, oh, I got paperwork. Wally, when you pretend to throw shit out for dramatic effect and then take it out of the garbage can and then slowly integrate it back into your life, because now Wally, he makes I'll put some clips on it. He last 9/11, he does the show and tell with all the stuff he threw out, guys. He threw this out. The stuff he's showing was in a dumpster a few years ago. So Wally, when you do that shit, when you say, I threw out all my stuff and you didn't, that's fraudulent. You're a fraud, okay? I think you were at 9/11. I think you're mentally ill and handicapped, but you're still a fucking fraud, okay?
Walk it over to the dumpster because I really want nothing to do with it anymore. I'm pretty much finished, so see you in a bit. Well, here we are, guys. It's really, this hurts, man. This really hurts. God, what a mess. But this sucks. This really sucks. This hurts more than you guys could ever know. And that's that.
Another diabolical, shitty thing that you did was you made this whole thing about, I don't want to get Slippery's family involved with this. And then you make a video, it's his wife and his kid, and their face is covered up, and he's like, I hate that I have to do this. Really, you hate that you have to do it as you're doing it. And then you talk about Slippery's daughter, and I even feel awkward bringing it up. But again, I just want to bring up what a despicable piece of shit you are. In that, you bring up his daughter, and you say, she has some kind of disability. And then you say, I have a disability, and Slippery doesn't like me, and he should be, ashamed of himself. How come I don't get the same respect because I'm not as disabled as his daughter?
We've established that his daughter does, in fact, have a disability. But in Kevin's mind, someone like me is not worthy of what I have because I'm not disabled enough, according to him.
So now he's like, there's some scale of disabled, and Wally's jealous of like someone else being more disabled with him. Again, you get this white guy living in the South who's talking about how he's oppressed. Oh, I'm a disabled guy, but I'm not. People don't think I'm disabled enough. Again, Wally, I used an analogy a while ago when you were talking about a Navy SEAL with PTSD. If that person with PTSD was spending their days making videos attacking everyone in their fucking orbit, non-stop, doxing them, doing this fucking vicious shit, that they would still be a bad person. Their disability doesn't matter. That only goes so far when you're like, again, like my girl, she was like, Wally's a mentally ill person and he can't control himself and he has no foresight and all this stuff. But then months and months of that, and then you finally like make fun of her. Actually, the making fun of her didn't bother her. It was when you were like shitting on nurses. You were like marginalizing what nurses do. And this is coming from a guy who goes to the hospital like once a month. And like the nurses have to put on a show for this guy because they know immediately that Walter is a hypochondriac and he's having some kind of thing, I need attention. And the nurses go in there and yeah, Walter, they fluff your pillows because they're not dumb people and they realize this is some sad, lonely man that has absolutely no fucking human contact in his life. And this is it. So they go in and they fluff your pillow and you're like, are you okay, Mr. Hillegas? Are you all right? Oh, okay. You want some water? Okay. And then you shit on those people, and that's why my girl doesn't like you. Actually, fun fact, Wally, when you said that her forehead was big enough, was like the size of an aircraft carrier, or it was big enough to land planes on.
Come on, you fucking neck-bearded faggot with your ugly-looking fiancé, whose forehead is bigger than a fucking landing strip on a goddamn aircraft carrier. Come on, motherfucker. What do you got to say about that?
So, fun fact, after I told her that, she laughs because she's a normal person with a sense of humor and isn't bothered by name poking because we're in our late 40s and we're adults and that shit doesn't bother us anymore, Walter. I don't know, I'm afraid to tell it to you because you're going to stop. But yeah, we're like immune to it, okay, because we're grown-ups. And when a grown-up starts calling out names, we know as grown-ups that the other person has insecurity problems and they're on the ropes and they're down when they go, oh yeah, well you're a dumb, stupid person, like we know, okay? But anyway, you called her forehead was big enough to land an airplane on. So when I chat in my Facebook group, my numerous Facebook groups, we all have nicknames for ourselves. You know how you could rename the person? And we all name it based on, like, whatever you call us. For example, instead of being Dan King in the chat, I'm neck-bearded, long-haired freak, or it changes. I don't know what it is right now, but that's an example of it. So my girl said, hey, like next time we're in a chat, like she wanted to join that chat group, and she's like, oh, could you make my nickname Runway? So that's where we go with your little threats and shit, Walter. There's a little peek behind the curtains. No one's laughing at it. We get a kick. I mean, no one's like outraged. We all get a kick out of your little like name calling business, and we roll with it because we're grown ups and we're not bothered by it. So please keep doing it. We fucking love it. All right, I'm looking at my notes. This time I actually printed them up on a LaserJet printer, double-sided to save paper. All right, we did the hypocrisy things. Oh, and I also wanted to clear up that in this rant, like, it's all about Slippery, but then out of nowhere, he's like, I know Slippery, I know you're watching, Kevin, I bet your pal Dan's watching.
Right, Kevin? Are you watching, Kevin? You snot-nosed German prick? Are you watching, Kevin? I hope your friend Dan is watching, too. Are you listening, Kevin? I know you are. How about your friend Dan? I'm sure he's watching, too.
Why are you bringing me into this, buddy? Again, you're into some kind of S&M. You want to bring up my name, so I hit you, and you go, oh, I love it. Oh, hit me more. Oh, look, Dan hit me. And I'll put it together. I'll superimpose. I'll do a little clip right now. And the setup is, before I was on YouTube, before I was doing this lunacy, Wally thought I was Slippery Wnwet, and he made a video, I'll play a clip of it, where he's just like, yeah, what do you got, Dan? What do you got, Dan? Oh, yeah. Oh, what are you going to do? And he pokes and prods me. And then it ends with him. I'll put that bit first, and then I'll put after it when Wally's on the floor going, Dan King and Slippery won't let it go. They won't stop bothering me. So, and now, just the other day, you're like, come on, Kevin. Come on. Pop on the live stream. Pop on. It's like, Wally, how do you think it's going to end? It's going to end with all your shit does nothing. It changes nothing. And you're going to end up crying on the floor, complaining about me and Slippery. Instead of just letting it go, like all your pals are saying. Like True Sherm just said. He just said today, I just was watching a live stream. I was messing around, pretending to be you, Wally. I'm not trying to be, like, subversive. I'm like pretending to be you to make them laugh. And they know it's me, okay? There's no confusion.
Neck-bearded Barney Rubble caveman-looking motherfucker. Comment, Dan. Come on, Dan. Let's see what you got, Dan.
It's this fucking Dan King and this Slippery Wnwet and fucking fuckers that turn their backs on me. For what?
I'm not digging up.
For what?
But like, yeah, Wally, like you're gonna poke and prod everybody, and they're gonna make you cry again. Your shit's not gonna, like, right now. Wally's big thing is, like, Kevin made fun of me, and I'm gonna tell all his Mason pals how terrible he is. That's you go to, Wally. You're gonna tell, and then you show the MAGA army. You're like, go to this web channel and go here and go there and fill out this and mass flag and blah 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 and do all that. Wally, my version of that is gonna be when you finally cross a line with me, with your bullshit, and I bring up you're doing it again. I have threatened you numerous times. Threat, Wally, threat. Write it down. Dan King's threatening me. I threatened you, yes. If you don't stop your horse shit with me, and Slippery for that matter, I'm going to get you kicked out of your apartment. And not by fraudulent means, I'm going to send them all the shit you do in your apartment. And I'm very certain that I could get you booted. Or at the very least, they will keep your security deposit to clean up the fucking mess you left there by spraying lead all around your fucking apartment, okay? And I will do that. I will do what you did with Slippery. I will put a page up of the management department. It's like Heather or something... management or something, right, Walter? I don't have it in front of me, but whatever. You know I know your address, so I'll just put up a link to that, and I'll tell the MAGA army. I'll be like, go to this thing and put your complaint in where you complain about it, and here link the videos that I'll put on some YouTube channel somewhere else. I'll copy and paste your shit, Walter, without your permission. Just for link, and I'll say link this, link that, and it'll all be clips, nice little concise links, because I don't want to waste the landlord's time, and I'll just show them you doing shit in your apartment. Shooting lead, shooting more lead, my pepper spray leaked, shooting more lead, crying, wellness check, putting a gun in your mouth, threatening to shoot yourself. I'll just do all that and be like, this is the guy in unit 1234. Again, that's not his thing. I know it is, because I showed you in the previous video that I know your address, Wally. Oh, and also I called the cops on you, so that's a pretty good indication. I know where you fucking live. Not threatening you, Walter. I'm not coming because I know you're ready for me. And again, all I'd have to do is take a 55-gallon drum and cut it up just the way you showed me. Or maybe I'll just wear it like Slippery shows you. That gets you all... Another thing, you're like putting this man on the screen. Oh, look at him with the shield. And Wally, everyone but you is laughing at this guy wearing a barrel around him. That's the joke. Mister, I have a sense of humor. You don't. And you said, oh, he thinks it's funny. Look at the street. Look at that. Like, no, everyone's looking at this man with a barrel and laughing. Because it's you. It's a version of you. It's absolutely a parody of you, Walter. So yeah, you're not gonna change anything. And the shit that you do, like with the throwing stuff out and goodbye, you act like... I remember doing, when I was like 6 years old, I would do that, not even at 4 years old, I would do what you're doing. I would get Dan, go to your room. You did something wrong, go to your room. And you go to the room, and then like, you know, you'd be like, can I come out? And then they let you out. But then like, I'd be like, oh, let me flip the script. This is 4-year-old Dan. And I'd be like, you know what? When they tell me to come out, I'm going to say no. I'm going to stay in my room forever. And I'm just not going to eat or shit or anything. And I'm just going to die. And then they'll feel bad for me. Yes, they will. And that's what you do, Walter. You, every now and again, you go, goodbye, Masons. Goodbye, Manosphere. I'm going away now. I'm disappearing. And like, Plastic in the Tree is like, no, please come back. And nobody else cares. and then we'll joke about you, and you'll lurk around, and you're watching everyone's live stream, and they'll talk shit about you, and they'll make fun of you, or they won't talk about you at all, and you're just like that little 4-year-old dad going, they're supposed to come and check up on me because I said I was gonna not eat anymore and just die in this room, and like the regular parents just gonna be like, he'll come out eventually, whatever. You know, you don't want to go in there and be like, are you okay? You said you were gonna starve to death, little Danny. Are you okay? Are you sure? Like, parents wouldn't do that because they know what the child is doing, Walter. So when you go away, oh, I'm going away, you're not going away, you're coming back. And you pull that horse shit where you're just like, and then, oh, the other thing I want to talk about is, I know I talked about it before, but Walter, months ago, maybe weeks ago, I don't remember, he disappeared like I just described, and then he came back, he changed his name, and the screen name that he chose was, I'll show it on a screen, it was Kevin D. King Colbert, like the new who we think Slippery Wnwet is. And the picture that he used, he used a picture of this guy. And guess what? It's the same picture that he just showed everybody when he exposed Kevin. And this was weeks ago. And Walter, like, he hasn't, I was going to say he denied this. He hasn't even brought this up. Wally, like, are you going to say that, like, that wasn't you when you popped in the stream? I'll link it below because I go into detail. It's a very short video. It's like 10 minutes. But it basically is Walter. He changed his name from Maga Man 2.0 to something else because he was like little 4-year-old Dan poking his head out of the bedroom going, don't you guys, aren't you worried about Maga Man? He said he was going away. He said he was going away. It would be like if little 4-year-old Dan put on a mask and pretended to be another kid going, hey, Mom and Dad, are you worried about that Dan King kid? Because, you know, he said he was going to, you know, I'm Dan King. Like, that's what Wally did. He was trying to, like, you know, get interest in him again because he's a narcissist and it all has to be about him all the time. His first thing he said is, oh, the Friday Night Blaze is whack now, because I guess Wally was trying to pretend he was like a black guy, so he was doing gangsta mode. Yo, what up, Wally? And again, Wally, when you do something like that, fraud. You're a fraud, okay? Because you were pretending not to be you, and talking to your friends in a fraudulent manner. Friends don't do that to friends. They don't pretend to be somebody else to try to get them to talk about me. It's fucked up. And frankly, I don't understand, like, you know, again, like Hidden MGTOW and Sifu were like talking to Wally. He was welcome back on the stream. I can't wrap my head around you guys don't call him out. Maybe you did something privately, but how you don't go, hey, oh, Wally, welcome back to the stream. But first thing I want to talk about, what the fuck was that shit? When you pretended, who was that? What was that all about? When you pretend to be somebody else? But none of you guys call him out on it. And it baffles me how you don't fucking call this guy out on his bullshit and just let him back in like nothing fucking happened. I guess maybe you're better human beings than me and you just accept this guy's flaws and just roll with it. But like, gee, how many times is he gonna have to show that he's a fucking Looney Tunes weirdo fraud person that one of you guys, I mean, like most of you, the MGTOW guys are critical of him. But Hidden MGTOW, you should fucking know better. Sifu, I don't think gives a shit. Sifu's like living his fucking life over there somewhere. And he runs into Maga Man. He doesn't watch what Maga Man's doing. But Hidden, like, call the guy out, man. Ask the guy a couple questions. Wally, why do you do these things? Because he won't answer to me. Oh, another fun fact is, during that video, going back to his exposing the Kevin video, in that video, there's a couple places in it. I'll put a clip on it, where he's like, come on, Kevin. Come on, call me up. You got my number. Come on, be a man. Call me up, motherfucker.
But my home number hasn't changed. So if you're listening, Mr. Colburl, why don't you call my home number? Call my home number. That's the only one out of all the information that's in this book that's actually still legit. That hasn't changed. My home address changed. My cell phone number changed. But my home number hasn't. Call my home number, coward, right now. I'm sitting in front of my home number. If you got the balls.
So yeah, in that clip, you just saw the clip, right? So, fun fact, I have Walter's phone number. And guess what? Each time that he said, call me up, motherfucker, call me up, I called him up. And I think I have it on my phone. Maybe I'll show a clip of my phone where I called him up twice. Of course, Wally, I'll block out your number because it's a dick move to show someone's phone number on the fucking screen. Even though it's readily available on the internet and it makes it totally... I'm not doxing because I wrote my own disclaimer that says how I'm immune to the fucking laws of physics. But yeah, Walter, I tried to call you twice, and guess what? Tough guy, Maga Man Walter, the phone's not accepting calls at this time. So there's a man going, come on, motherfucker, right now, right live on TV. Come on, call me up right now. What are you, a fucking chicken? Buck, buck, buck. What are you, afraid? And the guy, meanwhile, he has his phone off. The phone's disconnected. That's what Wally did. That's what fraud Maga Man Wally did, like just a day ago. He taunted a man to call him up and contact him, and then he wouldn't, his phone was off. And also, Slippery appeared in the chat. Kevin showed up in the chat. Some guy named Kevin, anyway, I don't know who it was, but some guy said like, oh, this is great. And Walter, the guy who's just like, I want to talk to you personally, was like, oh, there he is. Oh, boy, you don't get to say nothing. Oh, papa. And you blue wrenched him into oblivion.
Oh, no, you're not getting away with it, motherfucker. Not this time. Oh, no. Hold on here. You're not getting away. Yep, you're not getting away with it, motherfucker. You're gone. What a nut job. You're not getting away with it this time, you piece of shit. Oh, no. What a nut job. No, you are the nut job, Kevin Colburl. Take a look at yourself. Look at yourself, you fucking skanky, slimy motherfucker. Take a look at yourself. You like your work?
Tough guy Walter, he won't talk to his fucking nemesis. He just wants to talk shit and make everyone feel bad. But, you know, you can't have a conversation with the guy because Walter knows he's full of shit. And if he talks to a human being live, he'll embarrass himself in front of the Magites. So, like, he'll never fucking go live, Walter. Again, Walter, let's schedule something. Me and you, let's have a talk. Me, you, and Slippery, we'll talk it out. But get prepared to explain some of the shit. Like when you pretend to be other people. When you commit suicide a dozen fucking times. How you think the shit that you do is different than the shit you complain about people doing to you. They doxed me with death threats. Well, he sent me a death threat. It wasn't me. No one in the world has my email except you. Right after, in the height of your anger, when you make a video bitching about Dan King, I suddenly get a death threat. Okay. Tough guy, fucking talk to us, you fucking fraud. Stop hiding. You're always hiding. Oh, the Masons hate me. Oh, I should have known this group. Again, Wally, what did you do? The Masons got rid of you. The Star Wars people got rid of you. She got rid of you. You're not allowed to see your kids. How many more groups? And I remember the anti-Star Wars group, Wally. They chucked you on your ass. What are you doing? I mean, I know what you're doing, but don't you ask yourself that? This is baffling to me. I think it's a defense mechanism. I think you know that you're a crazy person that drives everyone away, but you have to, in your mind, you have to, like, rationalize how you're this person. And it's like a defense mechanism. But, Wally, another group got rid of you. And now you're shaming them. Oh, what did I do to this guy? What did I do to that guy? Wally, I'm sure you did something to all those people. Or like I said, maybe you didn't say anything to those people, but they have seen your work in the form of your channel and what a hate-filled, piece of shit, racist, anti-Semitic, garbage human being you are. And that's enough for them to be like, fuck this guy. Like I said, right now, Wally's tactic is he's telling the bigwig Masons. He's like going, like, okay, Wally, let's go down a rabbit hole, okay? Let's say you send an email to the bigwig Mason guy. I don't know what his title is. I'm sure he has a Dracula medal like this big, because the higher up, the bigger it gets. No, I made that up. I don't know if that's the truth. But let's say it goes to the grand poobah of fucking masonry, all right? What are they going to be like, oh, a brother Mason is picking on another Mason? It's like, well, this person was a Mason, but now they're not a Mason. Oh, what happened? And all they have to do is show them various collections of your YouTube work, Walter. And they would be off the hook. They'd probably be like, listen, cut it out. It's not cool to do that, you know. But, like, we get it. Because you're such a vile piece of garbage. And now you're trashing the Masons. You're like, oh, the Masons are Satan worshipping and they're socialists, whatever. And I should, again, Wally, another group from New York that, like, you got chucked out of. And suddenly they're socialists, leftists, Marxists, whatever. And then in the same rant, another thing you do that baffles me is you go, oh, I told you guys for months not to talk to Slippery, but you did, and look at the mess we're all in. It's like, what are you talking about? Nobody care. Like, you're the only one that's spinning around, going nuts at what me and Slippery is saying. None of the MGTOW guys are affected at all. But in your crazy mind, you're like, this is just distracting the whole MGTOW world. And I guess what you're saying is, like, instead of you, Maga Man, talking about hardcore MGTOW, you know, like redefining the philosophy to fit your crazy world, they're distracting you from that. You just can't stop talking about Dan King and Slippery, and the manosphere is suffering because they don't have your valuable input. And guess what, Walter? When you did the little kid trick where you're like, I'm going away now, the manosphere revolved without you. Like, the gears kept turning. Nothing got shot down. No, in fact, if anything, people were less distracted by your bullshit, and they were able to talk about whatever they like to talk about. It wasn't the Walter show. And that burned you up, and you had to come back again, triumphantly return, and triumphantly disappear. Again, guys, watch my first video. I explain in detail how Walter does this. He joins a group and then dramatically leaves and comes back to get attention, and everyone's looking at him. Anything for attention with this guy. I'm rambling on. I'm not even looking at my notes. Let's see. Well, I talked about it. Man, same. Yeah, talked about him just doxing everybody. Talked about the phone call being a big fraud. He talks about the Masons like shit. Oh, another thing. I don't know. Maybe I talked about this before. Wally thinks what he does is different than like his enemies do to him. And it's like fascinating to me because, again, like I showed in that video, you totally doxed the man. And now, like I said, I made that video of you, Wally, showing your house and all that shit because I know you're going to go crazy and you're going to run to the police and say Dan King doxed me. When, like I said, you just did this to this man, Kevin, with your little disclaimer that makes you immune. And I used your disclaimer. Exactly. The same fucking thing. But in your mind, because again, a side effect of being a narcissist is having a sense of what do you call it? Entitlement. You're above the law, Walter, right? You can do the things people do to you. In fact, again, somebody in the chat was trying to tell you, like, hey man, like, you're doing the things, like, I don't know who it was, I didn't recognize the name, but there's some newbie to the world, and they're discovering you, Walter, and they're going, hey, you're being a hypocrite, Walter. And so that guy, like, he got shut down. Like, I went to read, I was going to put a screen capture of his comments, but his comments are gone, which means either you or one of your guys killed him. And he was a guy, and he said something like you shouldn't do that. And then you said something like, oh, you said, oh no, cause and effect. Cause and effect. And again, you have, like, no idea how the legal system works. And I think you were trying to say cause and effect as a legal term means Slippery Wnwet made fun of me and my baby mama, so now it's okay if I show his house and order my Magites to go to his house and murder his children. You didn't say that, but that's how it could be, like read. Cause and effect. It's like, no, Wally. Cause and effect has nothing to do with this. Cause and effect is, I'll bore everybody. The example that they use all the time is if you have a pool in your backyard and you have a fence and you have a gate and you leave the gate unlocked and a kid sneaks, he opens up the gate, goes in your backyard, gets in the pool and drowns to death, you're responsible to that because cause and effect. You didn't lock the gate and now that kid is dead. But if you lock the gate and the kid hops over the fence and then drowns in your pool, you're not liable for that because you locked the gate. You're a responsible person and you locked off this hazard to children. That's cause and effect. It has nothing to do with what you're talking about. But again, like somebody called, like why you're afraid to talk to me and Slippery live is because someone on the live stream was like, hey, you're doing something hypocritical. You're doing something that you're accusing someone else of. Somebody was asking you the hard questions and you shut them down, or your fucking lackey shut them down. That's the world you live in. It's a fantasy world where there's no criticism and there's no backoff. And that guy was right. Whoever was talking about it they were right. You're doing a billion times worse than Slippery's taking shit. Like you said, and the other thing that like had me rolling is you're like in your description, you're like your disclaimer, you're like all this stuff was obtained legally from social media and blah blah blah. And then moments later you're like, that son of a bitch Slippery took my private stuff that I put on Facebook and uses that son of a bitch. Who does that? Well, you just said in your disclaimer how it's okay for Slippery to do that, right? In your disclaimer, you just described how it was perfectly fine for me to make my video earlier, where I show your house and where you're sitting on the deck, and what kind of apartment you have, and where the apartment is situated in the house. Again, anyone could do it. And when I was doing it, Wally, I felt like a creepy fuck. But I was trying to make, I know it's going to go over your head because everything always does. But I was trying to make a point. Maybe your Magites, maybe Plastic in a Tree will wake up and realize what a hypocritical asshole you are. But that's why I made it, because it's like, I just did what you did, because anyone can do it if you know someone's address and you have time on your hands and you're a loser like me. You can do this shit with fucking graphics and try to scare somebody, because that's what it's all about. I know where you live. Here you are from space. I know where you drive your motorcycle. Oh, I know what your kid looks like. I know your wife's name. Maybe I'll call your wife and tell on you. Wally, we're grown adults, okay? If you call up his wife and tell on him, she's gonna go, why is there a 47-year-old man telling on my husband to me? Ah, creepy. Like, Slippery's not gonna get in trouble. Slippery's not gonna get grounded. Again, you don't have any human interaction, so I know you don't realize how the world works, but Slippery, you're not gonna get him in trouble. You're not going to get it booted out of the Masons. Nothing's going to change. You're going to lose your mind, and then you're going to get drunk and realize that the world hasn't changed, and then you're going to be crying on the floor, begging for me and Slippery to knock it off like you did a few months ago. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up because I can keep on going forever. I'm sure there's some stuff I'm talking about. I'll save it for the next video because every time I do one of these, I got to do a bunch of photo editing. And yeah, that's it. Wally, you're a fraud, and you're never gonna learn. There was a little bit of hope after you committed suicide, but you're right back to square one. You're attacking everybody. Congratulations. You probably showed the world who Slippery is, but he doesn't seem to care much. He wasn't trying to hide himself and his identity. And he told me, he's like, I don't fucking care that Walter knows who the fuck I am. So, keep on doing your game. Spit on the Masons. I can't wait to see how that plays out when you spit on the Masons and how that's gonna fucking roll. So anyway, I'm wrapping it up. I'll see, hopefully Wally will do some more crazy shit. I'm sure he will. And I'll see you guys again soon. Bye! Hey everybody. So I forgot something I wanted to talk about and tag on to this video. So a couple things actually. One, I saved the grossest for last. So you're welcome. And here we go. So in this clip, this was in the same video we just talked about. And, Wally is screaming. There's a picture of Kevin, Slippery Wnwet on the screen. And Wally's looking at him and going, oh, look at his face. Oh, look at his face. And he's in the height of his anger. And what does Maga Man Wally do when he's at the height of his anger and he's screaming about his enemies? He goes homoerotic. So check out this clip.
Slippery Wnwet. You know why he's so slippery? Because every time he gets down on his knees to suck my prick, he gets all that wonderful jizz all over that gross, ugly-looking fucking cock of a nose of his. Take a look at that thing.
Okay, so unfortunately for you and me, I'm going to break down what Walter just said. And Walter, I'm sure you can go back, excuse me, and see what you said. Because I know you're going to be like, I never said this thing. It's like, no, you said it. And let me break it down in case it came out of your mouth suddenly because you had no control over what you were thinking and saying and doing. But what just happened is you were looking at Slippery's face on the screen and you had a fantasy of what it would be like if this man was to pleasure you orally. And then when you were done with the act, you would, spray his face with, what? To end the act. And then right after that you say, oh, look at his nose. His nose looks like a big penis. And then you described what you did, the stuff that came out of you, as wonderful jizz. So that's what just happened. That's what you just said to this man that you can't stand. You're fantasizing about some really homoerotic sex act with him. And you've done this before. You fantasized about me washing your butt in the bathroom, chained up to the wall. Not even nicely, like I'm chained up in a slave. Not like, oh, let me clean your butt, Walter. It's like you have weird fantasies about like having these, like maybe it's me. Maybe like that's the apex alpha move, is to dominate a man. You're gonna have sex with a man just to, show him who's the boss. Isn't that some, like, jail shit or something? Like some jailhouse stuff? But anyway, Walter, that's what you just did, okay? Don't try to, like, take it out of context or whatever. You wanna have sex with Slippery, is what I'm saying. And the other thing I wanted to say to wrap it all up was I wanted to, like, give Wally a parting threat, okay? So, Wally, it's not a new threat. It's the same, it's one of the big three that I sent you initially in my emails, but I kind of forgot about it, but I've been, like, rethinking it, especially because you've been, like, going so hard after Slippery, like, you're like, I'm gonna do everything to get him in trouble, and I'm gonna tell on his wife, and I'm sending the Magites to cancel his channel, and, like, you probably just, they're not even watching the video, they're just flagging his video, like, to shut him down. And it kind of pissed me off because, one, you're always like, people trying to shut me down. We're not, Walter, because we're fascinated with your bullshit. I'm always saying, I want to watch more videos. But, like, if we wanted to, we could shut them down easily because you do all the tick marks when you go to, like, report a video on YouTube. Like, you do all of them. You're, like, violence and your harassment and your doxing. You're calling out people, like, you do everything. And we can flag you and get you in trouble for it. But no one does. Like, in your mind, you think you're getting in trouble. Maybe occasionally you get, like, copyright stuff. Or maybe it's, like, automatic based on, like, the captions of the thing. But no one's actively trying to shut you down. But if we could, if we tried real hard, we probably could. And the thing that I was thinking about is you reminded me when you were like, oh, Slippery, what are you calling out his wife's name? And you're like, what if I called your wife and told you what you did? Again, like, you fucking, like, narcissistic asshole. You think that, like, his wife gives a shit about your world. You're like, he's picking on me. And his wife would probably be like, well, what'd you do? Well, you're probably an asshole. Or she probably knows all about you. But anyway, I was thinking about that. I'm like, you know what? What if I called Wally's girl? What if I gave her a call? Because I'm sure you probably doxed her, and I could probably dig up her number somewhere. Or I could just find it on the internet like I found yours. And I can give her a call, although she probably wouldn't talk to me because I'm sure you've probably had people in the past, because she won't talk to you. You probably had friends and family try to infiltrate her. And now she's she's probably leery about any kind of, like, phone call regarding Wally. It's like, oh, this is Wally trying to get me a message to somebody else. But I was thinking about, like, Wally, just the way, like, I saw your pals on the Manosphere, and I befriended them because I'm a charismatic guy. Like, I could probably reach out to your girl, and I could start a little dialogue with her, and we could talk about it, and we could team up to take you down. How fucking mad would that get you, buddy? So, yeah, there's my threat. Maybe I'll team up with Mitzi to take you down. And you would go fucking bananas about that. So what's the expression? Fuck around and find out, Wally. Fuck around with your little bullshit. Try to get strikes on my channel. Try to get strikes on Slippery. And I'll fucking go to war with you. I got fucking... everything's light with me right now. I have this time to make these videos. So yeah, Wally, I'll fucking gladly take down your channel because I'd love to see on your backup channel with your 90 fucking subs on that shitty little channel where you go, they took down my main channel, blah, 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 blah. And then you would start shitting that and then I'd shut that down. I would love to see that. Although I wouldn't be able to see the aftermath of that. But I'd probably try to find you on, like, Parler or whatever the fuck you go to after that. So yeah, buddy, fucking come on. I'm ready to go. You want to go? I'll go to the next level. I'll contact Mitzi and see what's going on with her. I'm sure I can charismatically work my way into talking to her. Especially if I'm trying to protect her kids. I'm sure she could, like, make a case more than anybody else. She can contact you two and be like, that's my image. Those are my children that he doesn't have access to. take down the channels. That's a picture of my dad. He has my dad's name on there. He's showing my dad's text. I'm sure we can make a real big case to get you fucking taken down with that bullshit. So anyway, it's all up to you, buddy. I'll see you again soon, everybody.